always wonder what I'm going to say on my intros. I want to exit from this despair. I want to also give a warning to other creatives. Create like it's your last, because with the reversal of Roe, they're not going to stop there. If you have something meaningful to say that is going to shed light and bring happiness to the world, you better do it before the conservatives decide. And that's how I want to begin my day, every day, creating something new, interesting, and that's educating, and to expand the world instead of bringing darkness. That's right, y'all. I am back and recording. I'm absolutely happy with how much my podcast has taken off in the last few months, thanks to the help from Brighton Media. I'm just grateful for Noah and his team there. And I'm thankful to all of the listeners in Brazil, of all places, and Germany, and all across the United States. Y'all are making this glow up thing a reality, and I'm grateful to it. I will be over 20,000, let me stop lying. 19,000 downloads, well on my way to 20. My glow up continues, and I'm eternally grateful to everyone that's listening. But keep listening and tell a friend. Since I've been back from Virginia Beach, I have to go back another time before Christmas. Will probably be the next time I'm in town. Next time I'll be in town, we'll be solidifying the closeout or the final selling of my father's house. So I inherited a good bit of money. Thanks. As well as a bunch of records from my father, who was a DJ through most of my life up until I believe the early 2000s maybe. And I was like, what else can I do with these records? And I realized that I knew this was it. Oh my God. And I started sorting the records, and I am now going to continue a whole new addition to my podcast called I Want My Daddy's Records. It's all part of the whole Quark's Bar thing, because people go to Quark's Bar not only to have great cocktails and premium booze, they also go to listen to great music. At least that's why my father was such a successful DJ. Jones Bar, and then his own bar. I don't recall the name of it, but there you go. I think, and I also wanted a way to be able to share my love of the music that he loved. He had thousands of records. I think I may have brought home just a couple of hundred, but he had a very eclectic taste. He has representation from the 60s as well as through the 2000s. I have original pressings of a lot, basically all of Prince as well as Michael Jackson on vinyl, and I'm grateful for that. I'm not so much into CDs, and I think the music does sound different, even if you have Beats headset, it does still sound significantly different. And I was wondering, because I kept looking at this section, I'm going to primarily talk about groups, family groups. And I'm starting off with the Pointer Sisters. And I was looking at this album from 1978. It's a 45 12-inch. And it is Fire, I believe it was written by Bruce Springsteen, but performed by the Pointer Sisters on Planet Records. And I had to pull it up in my Apple Music, and it is the song that I thought. Do, do, do. Fire in your car, turning around the radio. And that's all I'm going to sing because I don't want y'all to turn it off because I can't sing. But anyways, so this is what I'm going to talk about. The Pointer Sisters. There's a lot of stuff on their wiki that I didn't know. The current members are, I believe, are the children and the grandchildren of the original Pointer Sisters, Anita, Bonnie, and June. They started performing back in the clubs in 1969, and then they grew to a quartet in 1972. Bonnie left the group for a solo career with modest success. Sister, I believe, June, struggled with drug addiction much throughout her career. She left the group back in 2004, passed away in 2006 from cancer at the age of 52. 2016, Billboard magazine ranked them as the 80th most successful dance artist of all time. 93rd, they've won a bunch of Grammys. Once they changed labels and they got their own sound. Of course, they're children. They're preachers' kids. And of course, they're Kojic. Formerly of Kojic in West Oakland. I think that is wild. They were told it was the devil's music, but they had their own sound, and obviously they were very, very talented. I know and remember their songs when they had a resurgence in the 80s, from Automatic and Jump, Jump for My Love. He's so shy, dun 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 dun. He's so shy, do 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 do. My eye, oh yes, yes I will. And Fire by Bruce Springsteen, that was released in 1977, was probably one of their highest selling singles. And I just bring them up because their whole career, with the exception of one of the members having their solo career, they spent as a family group. I'm sure, I don't know if there is, I don't know if there is like a story about the Pointer Sisters out there or in the planning, but I think it would be fascinating to learn, coming up from their church group roots in Kojic and their success. And I haven't heard anything else about them, even though I'm sure the girls are still touring. It seems like a lot of their success was written by the great Bruce Springsteen. I mean, why wouldn't it be? But they performed the hell out of had their own sound, had their own music, and they always had a bop. And that's what I remember from them from the 80s. So even though my chords are all off key, I hope you enjoy and would find fascinating their lives in music as fascinating as I find them listening to them now. Music has a way of taking you and elevating you and just make you forget things. And I think my father understood that more than anything. As I'm dealing with his death in my own way, I feel that I have this connection with him basically through the music, and he left behind so much music. I sat in that garage with a fan blowing dust around and feeling that, he had a very eclectic taste in music. A lot of the artists I did not recognize. However, I feel that it would be a disservice to him because I'm looking at hundreds of thousands, like thousands of, maybe $1,000 or so worth of records just by number. If I sold each one of them for $1, I would have $1,000. It would be a disservice to him to just get rid of his records. So for all of the records that we don't, for whatever reason, my half brother doesn't take, I'm going to have to do the honor, and I'll keep them. I'll store them. I mean, they meant something to him, and I think by me reintroducing them to the world will be able to enjoy the music just like I do. And I think that's why, even though all of the members of this next group that I'm going to talk about were not brothers, the Levert, which is another R&B group, the two of Eddie Levert and Gerald Levert were brothers. But it was obvious that my dad loved music. I mean, the DJ equipment, he kept it till everything basically got ate up by bugs or whatever. But I wish we could have had or been friends enough, or I could have trusted him enough to basically share my own love of music. My be doing the research for groups like this, I did not know, finding out things that I did not know, and rediscovering music that I used to bop to as a kid, and also finding the same music and hopefully they'll get their Skrilla when I get this sync license so I can enjoy it with you guys too. Until then, you can navigate to my playlist, I Want My Daddy's Records, and stream these to #1, just like they stream Mariah Carey's All I Want for Christmas to #1 every year. But Levert basically started back in '58. They were known as the Mascots and the Triumphs. Then they started and then the Miracles, not of the Smokey Robinson fame. Their debut album, Coming Through, was released and got hit the first on the Billboard Hot 100. Frankie Little joined the group in the 60s. He worked as a songwriter and as a guitarist, and I found out his remains, he disappeared in 1982. And they didn't discover, it took a forensic anthropologist to figure out who he was, probably by also DNA. Oh, this was recent. This was last year in 2021. Blunt force trauma, stab wounds, and his murder is still open. I love this group because there's certain songs that I'd forgotten that they were basically this group's claim to fame and beyond. They actually are still touring. They're playing tonight at the Orpheus in Memphis. This is one time that I wish I did live in Memphis, because I think I'm missing so much great music, and the Made in Memphis Studios is there. I've been bopping to Love Train. People around the world, join hands and start a love train. And then Backstabbers. And then For the Love of Money. They would go on and top the charts back even as soon as 2004. They get inducted into the 2005 Rock and Roll fame. I'm going to have to watch The Fighting Temptations from 2003, of course, because Beyonce is in it, but they also were in that movie too. They also there was a copyright violation when the Canadian industry minister Jim Prentice used the song without the group's permission, so he had to come up off the cash. 2009, they got a Lifetime Achievement Award. That I'm gonna have to find that. I'll probably, if I'm gonna actually look up that performance from 2009 when Tevin Campbell, Trey Songz, Tyrese, and Johnny Gill perform a medley of their songs. I bet that was amazing. There was a 2008 fire where a lot of their masters were destroyed. And the list goes on and on. Their awards are many. What is this? Used to be my girl. You used to be my girl. They got a whole bunch of gold hits. Message in the Music, Emotionally Yours, Family Reunion, For the Love of Money. A lot of these songs have played on reality TV shows. They've gotten platinum status, including copies of Ship Ahoy, Family Reunion, Identify Yourself, and So Full of Love. I just think this group, even with Levert, this group is just probably one of the most prolific and successful groups from the R&B era, and they have the bops, which would make their songs so danceable, and I can understand why any DJ worth his snuff would actually play this music. So, with that said, Eddie Levert kind of old too. He's like almost 80. Look out for him. But I'm just saying, again, their music elevates your soul, and you can't help but. So you may notice that I'm trying to sort through all of these groups, and you will notice that I added Harold and the Blue Notes. No, it appears that none of these mugs are related, but I added them because If You Don't Know Me By Now is on not only on Daddy's Records playlist, but I also added it to my father's funeral or memorial service playlist. But I did find that they, like the OJs, are a part of that R&B sound out of Philadelphia because they had some of the same songwriters. But also Teddy Pendergrass is probably, I did not know he was brought on as a drummer for the group back in 1970 before he went had an explosive career as a solo artist. And that's why I included them. And they also remade Thelma Houston, Don't Leave Me This Way. I will probably be adding that to the playlist too. And we also remember Teddy Pendergrass's joy after his life was almost ended by a car accident back in 1982. Joy be here with you. Won't you here with me? Oh, definitely adding that. And he also performed in the Live Aid concert in 85. Although none of these guys are They don't perform together anymore. The group as well as Teddy Pendergrass are a chosen family, and they made it to the list because it is obvious that my father also admired them. So let me go ahead and add that right quick. Joy, joy, do. Won't you hear me? Teddy Pendergrass. Oops, there you go. There we go. Add to playlist. I want my daddy's records. I already got Harold and the Blue Notes on that, as well as, let's see. Wake up, everybody. Dun, 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 dun. They did that one too. I didn't know that. They also rounded out. They basically alternated members of the group. Oh, and Pendergrass actually died. Wait a minute. How did he die? I thought he died of like pneumonia. Yep, he died of respiratory failure. He survived colon cancer and respiratory failure took him out. Their hits have been re-recorded by the likes of David Ruffin. I think he was at Temptations. Simply Red, Jimmy Somerville, Sybil, The 3 Degrees, and John Legend. Wow. And then Sean Blockers featuring Gucci Man. Oh, that's funny. I miss you. And Big Boy used that too. Everything is never really new. It's just a remix of the greats. And people seem to have an ear for the remixes. So I find that rich. You know what I mean? So what song was I looking up, y'all? I was actually looking up the remix for Thelma Houston, Don't Leave Me This Way. Let me see which one they have. Don't leave me this way. Let's see. On Apple, they have... It looks like everybody, including the Communards, but let's see how this one sounds by Harold Melvin and the Blue Notes. Let's see who I like better. I don't think I like that one. This does have that really vibey groove that you would expect from Harold Melvin and the Blue Notes. So I'll add that one. I don't think I even like any of the remixes from Thelma Houston, but I don't know. Maybe I'm holding something against that lady. But anyways, going on to probably one of the biggest groups ever, the Jacksons. And I added those, and I don't think I can really add anything that anybody would ever know or ever experience, through either listening to any biographies, the books. I mean, who doesn't know the Jacksons? who doesn't know that Michael Jackson is probably one of the greatest entertainer, or is the greatest entertainer to ever live. He had his issues, and I just think that starting at the age of 5, performing, being signed with Motown, being groomed by Diana Ross and Berry Gordy, he couldn't help but to be great. And the abuse basically propelled him to greatness. It's just mind-boggling. If he had not been beaten to the top, how much longer would he have lived? Because even though he was the greatest entertainer ever, this is Michael Jackson, that is, how far he would have lived longer. He would not have had insomnia. He would have not had to get general anesthesia just to go to sleep. I realized that I'm looking at the Off the Wall album, which I have an original pressing from, by the way, y'all, from '79. It's almost like every last one of these songs went to number 1, followed up by Thriller. Again, I have an original pressing, but I don't have the original jacket because my aunt couldn't save it. Thank you very much, Aunt Vern. But it's just amazing. His output, his valuation of his music catalog, which he basically mortgaged for like $1 billion before he died. I just think his music at different stages represents some of the greatest music ever made in R&B. I wonder if he had lived and changed, the collaborations later in life with like Chris Brown and Usher. Oh my God, it would have. I can't even imagine, y'all. I'm just blown away. Even what's his name? Justin Timberlake, even Bieber, if he had lived long enough, and his collaboration with those stars, his musicality basically influenced them positively. And how much further could his influence have been? I mean, every boy band is influenced. The plan or the pattern was based on the Jackson 5. The Jackson 5. They went from the Jacksons to from Jackson 5 to the Jackson. Tweedly doo-doo, tweedly tweedly doo-doo. Tweedly tweedly doo-doo. Tweet baby. Okay, even I saw Mommy kissing Santa Claus. Santa Claus is coming to town. I Want You Back. And of course, ABC. I mean, come on. I Want You Back, of course. So I just get off the phone with family members, and I am annoyed by several things. I'm annoyed by the fact that people are basically tripping about very little amounts of money, and people think that somebody is not going to try to pull a fast one. And people, especially my family, will look at you dead in your face and will lie to you. And people think that that's okay. Well, guess what? It's not okay. I think that, number one, I am ready for all of this, the suspicion and everything, to be put aside, because number one, I really don't have time for it. I am tired of having to always be on the defense when I know what I am and what I can't do. It's interesting to me that the whole idea of splitting up income and that you can't trust family members and all of this suspicion and everybody is out for what they can and can't get, and people think that people actually are dirtier, are absolutely dirty. I just am floored. And you're not going to worry me to death over crumbs. I don't have time for it. And I'm tired. I'm tired of the suspicion. I'm tired of people thinking that it's okay. It's okay to be fucking dirty. And I have no... I don't, and I literally, seriously don't care about any of it. And I just wonder how the Jacksons, people like the Jacksons, got through all of this, all of their success, how they divvied up proceeds and what their contract called for, when it was obvious that Janet and Michael were just so talented. And when they just concentrated on the music, how much greater all of them would be. But it was just obvious that Michael and Janet had the look. Their brothers and sisters could have gone on to do other things. And they could have made their own way and did have their own lives. But did they act like a bunch of crabs and think they deserve to share in the monetary success of the other siblings? We're only scrapping over a couple of $1,000s, and what if there was $1 million, a possibility of millions of dollars? What could it have been if there were millions of dollars? It would have been an all-out war. But I'm thankful that it's not. And frankly, I don't give a damn. However, that's all I got to say about that. I'm just going to continue to enjoy and bop to the music, because if you concentrate on the music and how it is uplifting, it basically blocks out the negativity and the stupidity that goes on. So I've spent a day of relaxing and watching trash TV and doing some training for my job that makes no sense to me. I know how to act, and I know a lot of the stuff that they're trying to put off is common sense, and it's so stupid and a waste of time. And I'm also really aggravated that not only was I on one when I recorded that last section, it also reflects ongoing issues with the settlement of my father's estate. And we're 9 days out, and I'm just happy and lucky that it's coming to an end. I'm looking forward to this next episode, and I don't need anything. And I know it's a part of that episode is my podcast. So if there's anything that comes up that keeps me from being able, to produce the podcast, I'm going to have a problem with it. So after we close the sale, my phone is going to go on off, and now you hit me back or put it in a text, only if somebody's dying. I'm just going to have to put it out like that. But this next group I'm going to highlight are the Isley brothers. They're the real deal. These guys have been together for almost 8 decades, according to Wikipedia, and they actually are brothers. It consisted primarily of Ronald Isley, which is infamous with his association with the pedophile R. Kelly, Rudolph Isley, and O'Kelly Isley. They're from Ohio. And they are the longest, most influential, and diverse careers in popular music. I've added to my playlist. I know I didn't. I will be adding Between the Sheets. Let me go back to the playlist itself. I should have had this already pulled up. Sorry, y'all, about taking this pause. But you can find I Want My Daddy's Records playlist. Right now, it's only 15 songs, but I'm continuing to add other songs. It's Your Thing. I Know Who You've Been Socking It To. And what's that? What was I saying? They had Twist and Shout. This was before, I believe, before they became the Isleys, but you may remember them from this slow jam, Between the Sheets, because I think that particular song, One More Chance, Between the Sheets, that's one of the things I want to listen to music more, so I can basically figure out who sampled who. Let's see if this is it. Yes, Faith Evans. And I believe Biggie also sampled that for their particular remix. And I hope the Isleys got their Skrilla. I've added that. And let's see, the heat is on. They split in 83. The oldest member died in 86. But their careers, as I said, spanned it like 8 years and 80 years, plus years. Amazing pantheon of work. And if I've absolutely left off some of their more greater hits, or you want to learn more about them or hear more of their music, just hit me up at TNFroIsReading@gmail.com or leave comments, and I'll definitely add it to the playlist, which I plan on including with the show notes for this episode. And I'm going to have to start wrapping this up, because the more I get into the music, the more I...
Let's have it, huh? And you too. I want to hear some singing out of you, old boy.
No, boy.
Boy, huh?
La 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 la.
All right.
La 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 la. Me father say I can go out there. It's funny I never get to stay. Before I get on me merry way, I hear me mother she call and say, Olympia, go for the coffee. Me father say, go for the paper. The baby cry, go for the bottle. So you can see I am the gopher.
That is the cute stylings of a very young Sylvers clan. This is another group that I'm highlighting, and I can't wish to play even more of their songs, because I didn't realize until I started looking up all of their hits that a lot of their songs have ended up in the zeitgeist, and I didn't even know it was the Sylvers. I remember seeing them a couple of times, maybe on Soul Train, but then when I started looking them up for this podcast, they had a lot of great hits, like Hotline, Boogie Fever, when it sounded kind of like the Jacksons, but they were really just themselves. Wish I Could Talk to You, and Yesterday. A lot of these songs we know and sing and have been bopping to, but it's been this family of singers. That was from Groucho Marx and You Bet Your Life, when they were no older than like 8 or 9 years old. And they did a lot of calypso-based music at the time. led by their father. Their mother was a student at Xavier University in Louisiana. When she met the father, they went on to have a boatload of kids that produced all of these hits through, I believe they were active. This is from Wikipedia, y'all. They actually were active through man, I can't. 1985. They had a couple of top 10 hits, but unlike the Jacksons, they didn't have the same notoriety or infamy. They did have singular success with like Edmund and then Christopher. He died of hepatitis at 18. And he was never actually a part of the family, but they disbanded because their last song was just so poorly received. He actually, the lead singer Edmund, played Marlon Jackson's voice in the ABC Sunday morning cartoon, The Jackson 5. Actually died in Richmond, Virginia in 2004 at 47. Wow, that's wild. They actually were featured in the 2007 Jet magazine, Where Are They Now? Did a small show in San Francisco, and they were featured in Unsung, and they discussed their careers, that a couple of them had been incarcerated. And they talked about politics in the music industry back in also, 2011, but they still did not have the singular success as they did as the group had. They did have a monster success back in Japan, in the UK, but never seemed to top. But the US success, of course, for I'm sure a variety of reasons, they never topped the success of their earlier years. And just like most black families in the United States, just existing as African Americans in this country can be a bit tricky, but they will go on and live in infamy and have given us so many songs that have stretched across so many genres. And again, navigate to I Want My Daddy's Records on iTunes to get the whole Boogie Fever and Hotline and Boogie On Down. I'm just saying. And I also, in the expanded podcast notes, you get to see these they call them little angels, perform for Groucho Marx on. So now we're moving on from the Preston Curl to the Jheri Curl. I have talked about the OJs, the transitional, the Isley brothers, the Sylvers, the Jacksons, and now I'm rounding this all out with the Debarge and Ready for the World. And I want y'all to go to my page and compare who had the best Jheri Curl on the planet. I think it was Prince, but I do see how his sound was influenced Ready for the World. Although Debarge came out in 79-80, and their sound was very similar to the popcorn bubblegum sound of Motown at the time. I do realize that they had some great music. I have my father's 12-inch, Queen of My Heart. I don't know how that goes. I might have to listen to that. But feel be the rhythm of the night into the morning light, and the world is on your mind. You can leave it all behind. And if you want to listen to that not off key, navigate to my I Want My Daddy's Records iTunes playlist for that, as well as other non off key songs that I've added to the family. Now, the Debarge, as I said, is a group of brothers and sisters composed of El Debarge, Mark, Randy, and Bunny. James joined the year that they produced their second album, and Bobby and Chico joined after. Who was married to Janet Jackson? Was it Chico? And it was a bit of colorism that was with that. He and his brother ended up getting hemmed up on some drug charges, but that was Joe Jackson trying to keep her away from Bobby Brown. Potato, I don't know. I think Bobby Brown and Janet would have ruled the world, and maybe he wouldn't have gotten as badly on drugs as he with the heart attacks and strokes as with Whitney, but who knows. They disbanded after 10 years, but I didn't know that their father was very abusive and abused Bunny Debarge from the time she was 7 till she was 13. He physically and mentally abused the mom. They are of mixed race, and I don't think he spared the rod on the guys either. And I think there was allegations of not just physical abuse with Joe Jackson, but that's the thing about these huge families and these talented kids. They were at the mercy of their tyrannical fathers, and they went on to have a very successful career, although several members of the Debarge actually had several run-in with the law as well as with drug abuse. And it makes me sad to know that a group with this much success there was just so much pain that surrounded their way to success. How El Debarge voice, he actually is one of the most pronounced. The head lead singer and voice got roached. And also, I'm reading this, drug abuse has been long since. Also, one of them died in hospice, Bobby Debarge, after contracting AIDS through his years of heroin addiction. Tommy Debarge was on kidney dialysis, and he died of renal failure in 21. Randy and Mark Debarge have some incurable diseases, and James Debarge was sentenced to prison for drug offenses. Wow. Oh, wow. And also Biggie remix Stay With Me. Maybe I'm going to add that. Let's see. Stay With Me from Debarge. I don't know how that goes. Maybe I'm more familiar. I'm definitely familiar with One More Chance by Biggie, because it also sampled a riff from the Isleys. But what doesn't? I mean, whoever mixed, Puffy mixed all of these great songs. What does that sound like? Baby, you can. Oh my God! That is so One More Chance Biggie. What the freak? Okay, I didn't even know that they sampled that. That is so stinking cool. Wow, I have to get my sync license because there's just so many songs that sample so many songs, and I'm so glad that I have access to. I mean, Wiki is not the best source of all songs, or all history, but it is a great source, and I would have never have thought to, I mean, Wiki is not the best source of all songs, but or all history, but it is a great source, and I would have never have thought to, 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 I would have never have thought look into that if it hadn't been for it. But Stay With Me, One More Chance, Biggie, how deep is that? I wonder if my dad actually has that. I may have that in my other stack of records. I may just have to do a Biggie Puff Daddy remix and try to identify and have the audience try to identify. That would be so cool. Identify what bass line or what song was remixed in a Puff Daddy single. I definitely am going to do a whole show dedicated to Beyonce, and when her and Jay-Z or whoever she was dating was going through some stuff because she had a whole bunch of breakup mixes. So if y'all are down for that, I'm down for that. And then going on to Ready for the World. None of these brothers, these Jheri Curl juice having brothers, even though their curls were the bomb, if you ask me, were not, it doesn't appear that they were related to each other. With Melvin Riley, Gordon Strozzer, Gregory Potts, Willie Triplett, John Eaton, and Gerald Valentine being the original members of this group. And they helped us to produce such singles as Oh, Sheila, let me love you till the morning comes, Sheila. And let me love you down and tick all night. And basically, that's all I know. Let's see. They hail also from Michigan. Actually, a lot of people come from Michigan. It cracks me up because I guess they had nothing but to sing and to create in Detroit because it's cold as hell. And they can't drink the water, so they had to make something of lemonade, had to make lemonade because they couldn't drink the water as it is because they were going to die from water. So I remember them for their curls. I remember them from their influence from Sheila E. and the other Jheri Curl muscle wearing mugs from that age. But these brothers were not related at all. But they were in one of the supergroups from the early 80s. And I include them because I love their sound. I love their song. And I do think I did recall seeing Sheila E. and that other group that escapes me because their sound sounds very similar. And I remember them having Jheri curls and having prison muscles. And I also used to jam to them also at a young age. Because I remember, because I was born in 71. So early 80s, I was 11 or 12. I remember I didn't have a boombox quite yet because my parents didn't split till I was a teenager. But my father does have included in his collection all of these samples or all of these songs from that age. And I can't wait until I go through and sort through the rest of my collection and I bring it to the public. As I said, it would be great till you come back to listen to what I'm actually going to be able Ready for the World. Top results, albums. Who are the similar artists? If you come back, it's just that I want people what is that group? I just love the to come back and listen to what music I'm actually going to come up with, or that my 77-odd-old father had in his arsenal that he was ready to plow on the world. I want y'all to basically enjoy what I have. It's not Sheila E. Oh gosh. Which group had Jheri curls? Now, if this bring, of course, NWA, Ice Cube in them, or Rick James towards the end of his life had a curl, but it was what other R&B group with Muscles and Jheri curls? See, this is the kind of stuff, the suggestion. That Full Force, that's right, Bow-Legged Lou from Full Force. They actually were cousins. I should have basically, if I had them in my arsenal, because I do think I have the girl that was associated with Full Force, with the breasts. I would have included them in, because I think I did vaguely see one Full Force album, but oh my God, head to toe. Who sang that? Singer of Head to Toe. Lisa and Cult Jam. Of course. So now I can surround it all. You talk about curls. We got Ready for the World. I think Debarge had the good hair, but Ready for the World, Full Force, and Lisa and Cult Jam. Of course I'm going to have mention all of them. And I'm going to, even though I did not talk about Full Force, because they actually are related, because it was cousins including that group, Lisa Cult Jam, I have to add them to the list just because they were all from that group of Jheri curl wearing mugs. So I hope y'all enjoyed this section as much as I've enjoyed producing it. Actually sad to me because a couple of days ago, Queen Elizabeth II, one of the longest reigning monarch, passed away at the ripe old age of 96. And if you had asked me after her long-term husband, she had been married to Prince Philip for over 70 years, was she going to even last this long? Because it looked like in the last several months that she had started to fail, that she would have lasted. I would have said probably so. She had some unfinished business. She had to get her business affairs in order, had to get that old hatchet-faced Camilla appointed Queen's consort. She had to make sure her son, who's a British fop, looking longingly at her crown as he opened up Parliament this year, and who actually took on Charles III, even though the first two Charleses, I think, were beheaded. You know, I don't think he knows how to read the room. But how can you follow his mother? I mean, the other longest serving queen was his great-great-great-grandmama, Victoria, who I admired. But her death ushers in 10 days of mourning and lead up to what I'm sure to be a majestic funeral. And they've been probably planning it since she was crowned back in 53. I'm watching the news kind of incredulous. I'm getting little snippets of her life, and I'm looking over my blog posts, and I'm realizing that even though there has been an anti-monarchy movement that has gained ground in the last decade, I am very pro this family because I like the majesty, I like the tradition, and even though I'm not black, I'm not white, I just think it's cool. Look at this chick. Besides POTUS, Forever POTUS, and maybe Reagan, she has 75% approval rating at her death. She single-handedly saved the monarchy from oblivion. And even though the whole messiness of colonization and racism probably started with them, you have to tell me that convocation hat wearing grandmama, gangster Jeep driving grandmama was the bomb. And everybody admired her and wanted to be like her and tried to be like her, illegally or not legally. I will place King Charles's, because he's now Charles III, speeches to her at the opening of the Platinum Jubilee. I attended the Diamond Jubilee back in 2012. And she was in her 80s then, but she was just so vibrant. And it was obvious that she was ready to go. And also Prince William, who is now upgraded to the Prince of Wales. OMG. I wonder if his mother ever imagined that. I'm still tripped out about Princess Diana would have definitely made a better queen than that fool Camilla. But I know that's tacky saying that, but that's just how I feel. And how proud Diana would be of her sons, and even in their choice of women, even though they obviously, I don't think they get along, and she would have had a grand old time with her old unruly grandkids. I remember the race she did at Williams School and how she dragged those women, and she was just so carefree and so young, and they so weren't ready for her. But we can't look back. We can only look forward because we're going to bump into a brick wall. We got to keep going forward. I don't know if Charles is going to be the usher in of a new, more enlightened age of the monarchy, or if there's going to be more of the same. I don't know. I mean, it's not for me to notice. It's just for me to sit back over here in America, in Tennessee, and enjoy the show. And we're day 2 of the celebration that's going to last 10 days. And I'm going to be, and it's so wild that I'm excited about watching a funeral. How macabre is that? So I feel as if I need to be true to my podcast and simply talk about those things. Focus on things that I'm reading. And also on Black positivity. One of the things that I've noticed, and I envy from the people that are on my trash TV watching, is relationship and the meaning of family and support, and how all of these people are just so in tune and invested in their kids. And they seem to be good parents, even though they are trash human beings to other adults. I hope that the kids don't pick up on that, because the kids seem to be beautiful and sweet. So I really haven't been doing a whole bunch of traditional reading. I get New York Magazine and The Cut, and on this week's New York Magazine, they call it the special issue of The Cut, and Prince's cousin Meghan is on the front of that. She's a fashion icon in her own right. And her and the other princess, Kate of Middleton, they have all these kids and they just skinny as all get out. I just don't get it. I don't know if they're vegan or what, but I just need pork. I say that as I am marinating overnight my pork shoulder for my Haitian griot tomorrow, pork griot tomorrow.
Young Tina Snow, real hard on the hoe. Real hot girl shit. Dance like it's niggas with some money in this hoe. We ain't mugging bitches, we ain't fucking with them hoes.
That is Tina Snow or Megan Thee Stallion getting on the floor featuring Jay Alphonse from one of my favorite TV shows, P-Valley. This is Jay Alphonse as my favorite, Little Murder. And it is Megan Thee Stallion at her best. And this is where I'm probably going to make my two Black excellence goes out to both her and cousin, the other Megan. I just realized Megan with just the G and Megan with the GH. Both are on the special issue of the New York Magazine. This is a feature the first Megan with the G is written by She's Over Being Miss Nice because bitches don't respect that. And I'm on my fuck you shit, bitch. I'm done being nice. I don't think twice when it comes to cutting people off. She's over this whole lack of loyalty. I remember Big T comment and Pico being he's just tired of disloyal ass niggas, which I think was so funny that I'm bringing everything back to B-Valley. I base all of my Clifforisms, my ghettoisms, why don't you break me off my 5 stacks? Why don't you just slide me my 5 stacks then? How about that? I talk now like I'm from fictional Chuckalisa, a.k.a. Memphis, Tennessee, a.k.a. the Deep South. And I'm so not hood, which is completely hysterical. But she gets real in this feature, going over her musical journey, how she evolved from performing as a character with Tina Snow, with the blonde wig probably not being as is closer to her than some of her other characters that she's performed as. And she's gone through a lot in the last couple of years. She has a whole bunch of record executives that don't want her to fly. She got a punk ass hood label that's taking credit for all the hard work that she and her mom did. Holly Thomas. She stands at a regal 5'10", and it seems like the bras just can't get that out of. And she dares to wear caricaturally high heels, and they hate her for that. And she has body, and she is blowing them out of the water with her stylistic lyrics. She's just absolutely amazing. I really like reading this because she actually and it looks like she's probably going to have a recurring role on P-Valley. I didn't know that she had tried out for the Mercedes character, but she says she is glad she wasn't ready to be Mercedes. And I can't see anybody but Brandy Evans tearing up that role. So, with that said, the other side just shows Princess Cousin Megan looking her flyest in all of her royal fabulousness, from Manolo Blahniks, sitting on the aged bench, looking far away like she is a Oscar de la Renta Marlowe. She is absolutely one gorgeous girl. And I can't wait to see how her kids are going to end up. I think they're going to be a pleasant mix of both her and Prince's cousin Harry. So we'll invite both of them to the barbecue. But Black Excellence, mad shout out to Megan, Prince's cousin Megan, and Megan Thee Stallion. One with the G, one with the GH, both as fabulous. Also, I like what I've been watching and listening to. This next session is purely dedicated to garbage TV watching. If you don't have a cocktail in your hand, please get one. I'm going to be sipping on, probably a little bit later, some type of mixed drink with tequila. Probably, I'm thinking about mixing up this blueberry margarita joint. I'll take pictures and include it in the extended podcast notes, but cheers, y'all. So, what's been also going on with me in my popular life? I finally tested negative for COVID on Saturday. I should do the air horns for that, but I'll just mouth it. I'm just saying. But I also found out COVID is not gone yet. And anybody that is not doing all they can do to keep from getting it or keep from spreading it, they got to be cognizant of the danger of exposing someone that is immunocompromised to COVID. Number one, it can wreak havoc on them depending on the type of cancer or immunosuppression that they have. And two, they may test positive longer, even though the virus is deactivated, it still can wreak havoc on them. And it can also keep them from getting the needed therapy that they need, because nobody's going to let them up in that place if they have tested positive. So y'all be careful. Mind your P's and Q's. Wear your mask. Wash your hands. And if it's in the age of COVID, it's not just the sniffles or your allergies. Just do the damn test and do it right, okay? But as I recovered from COVID, I discovered different things to pass the time. I'm into the whole love and hip hop franchises, and I discovered that I have access to Love and Hip Hop New York through my Prime subscription. And I've been binge watching the first several seasons of that. And I've also got caught up today on Love and Hip Hop Atlanta and Love and Hip Hop Miami. And I realized that Love and Hip Hop Atlanta, I thought it is almost an exact copy of Love and Hip Hop New York, the original, because some of the main characters or personalities from that series are on Love and Hip Hop Atlanta, but they're just a little bit older. It seems that there is a character from Love and Hip Hop New York, Tandy, who married Mendici, who got like a 6-year bid. And there's all this baby mama drama. They think she's fake, and they're boxing back and forth. But that has spilled over. Mendici has been released, and that has spilled over into Atlanta, because I think it's because it's released and he's getting back into the music scene. And Tandy is I don't know if she's a publicist or just a manager or a combination of both, but the baby mama drama is still going on. And Atlanta is messy because, what's his name? Street Safari is also down there, and Jock is getting married but having baby mamas and more babies, and his now new wife knows about it. It's just a whole hot mess. And I'm watching Love and Hip Hop Miami right now, and Trick Daddy actually has a pretty popular cooking show on YouTube. Is Bitch I Got My Pots, and it's hysterical because he drops little gems about why are you gonna pick on people for like the way Princess cooked oxtails and she got dragged online because she made it the Filipino way, which is bulalo. And he basically has his own recipe, and he gives you little gems of support. I'm watched a part of the episode where he is going to have on, I think it is Safari and somebody else, and Lexi. And he's cooking yellowfin. And he's handling that knife like a G. He said something about he handled a knife like a baby mama chasing her boy through the hood. Very funny. Those are the types of, it seems like one trash TV watching leads to more trash TV watching, but it's all entertaining because these people are doing the most, but they're making the best of their situation. I can't really say that about Drink Champs, Noriega's show, or the podcasts, other podcasts that have spin off from these particular shows. I didn't or hadn't really gotten into Love and Hip Hop Hollywood because it do too much damn talking. The only interesting thing is when Safari came out there and blew through there for a minute. But this Remy Ma, I watch her on True Crime. This week's episode, now that I've watched all of her, she was a recurring favorite on Love and Hip Hop New York, and she did a long bit, and not for fighting or aggravated assault. So I think her voice is very distinct. It took her, and with the support of her husband Pap, about a year to go from the pen to getting her Grammy nominated, and platinum album not too long after that. And it also showed me that contrary to what Billboard and a lot of these other they would like us to believe, the more mainstream platforms, hip hop is alive and well, and there are many female MCs doing the thing. No, they're not platinum selling, stadium packing out like Cardi, Nicki, or Megan, but there are a lot of people doing it, grinding and getting seriously paid from what I have seen and noticed on these particular shows, which even for all this mess, it is to me a celebration of hip hop and Black culture, and also distinct cultural appropriation. And it's kind of hysterical that Safari is a mainstream artist, but he got booed off stage at some show in New York. And there is a character, Florence DeLeche, on Miami that has also she's claimed herself to be the queen of soca, and she's had a on again, off again beef with these other stars, Haitian stars down in Miami, and she got booed off the stage in Orlando, but that was a setup. Now I'm up to the point where Gael and Marlon, Gael is Florence's sister, and Marlon is the trashy husband. Gael is revealing the affair that she had with her sister's husband. And the new management basically told her she's going to have to get rid of her current clown team, and she's going to have to get rid of Marlon or separate their business relationships because he is using her to build up his own career, but he's also dragging her down. She doesn't need him. He needs her, but he is going to be the death of her career if they don't separate, is the bottom line. It's all kind of sad, and it's all very messy, and it's also very disgusting because he's still lying. So this is a way where she's going to have to disconnect herself from her toxic sister, and she's going to have to get rid of this cheating bitch ass of a husband. I said it, and that's all I got to say on that. So now on to my other part of the show that I've really, really absolutely adore, donkeyness. I don't really want to spend so much time on nonsense, but this whole thing, I didn't even watch. I don't really watch videos like that. And I realized just how much out of music I have been for a number of years. And it hadn't been until I inherited my father's record collection that I realized that I'm missing something, or I feel as if I'm missing something. Meaning my issue with because I just didn't have time, and then with the pandemic, I wasn't really in my car. And that's why I realized that most of my music listening came through listening to the radio. But because I don't have to drive to work anymore, I haven't driven to work since like 2019. So there's a lot of time that I do not spend in my car. And then when I am in my car, I listen to podcasts mostly. Go figure. So when this came up, there is a guy, a comedian by the name of Isleys. I had to look up who he was because I looked at him. I kept looking at him. Without him, he looked, and I hate body shaming because I'm a big girl, but he looked like a round milk dud. But something was familiar about his face, and I was like, oh yeah, Jheri Maguire. He is the player-hating brother of Cuba Gooding's character, Show Me the Money character. So, and he made this horrible comment about how Lizzo has a pretty face, but he can't get over the fact that her body looks like the poop emoji. I need you to navigate to my podcast notes. And I have a side-by-side of Lizzo, that fool, and the poop emoji. And who looks like the fucking poop emoji? Lizzo is in amazing shape. She dances for hours during her comedic shows. His fatness and body shape is due to gluttony, and he refuses to work out. And I beg to differ that he is projecting his own atrocious body on a woman who is body positive. And they come after Lizzo just like they come after Meg, because she is positive and she's strong and extremely talented. These weak ass niggas that look like the piece of shit that they are come after them, reflecting their own insecurity and infirmities. And they all need to be ashamed of themselves. This fool really needs to be ashamed of himself for saying that girl, how dare you? And project you. And he looks just like that poop emoji. So the donkey of the day goes to this fool, Isleys. And you really need to navigate to the podcast notes because he does look like just exactly like that poop emoji thing, girl. Okay, I'm confused. I'm watching House of the Dragons and this crab feeding mug. And what dragon is this? I'm confused. It's not the cute dragon. Who is in control of this dragon, y'all? He ain't saving nobody. What in the world? Is he a dragon, rogue dragon? Or is this that fool Targaryen, I don't know, Gib. I don't know. I am thinking I like more than the dragons in this show. I wish I could see much more of them. I'm kind of torn between, I don't know if this is Daenerys or Viserys or Viserion, the call for honor and duty, how she's a princess named Heir, but she knows nobody. Everybody is player hating her, but they are underestimating her. She basically killed a wild boar with her bare hands, and she and the King's Guard, who she should be marrying, hunted it down while they held the big old stag, which was so CGI, it didn't really look real at all. And how they held him so he could bury a glorified sword or stick into this dude, the little neck of the stag. And they actually saw the white stag, which she saved, or she wouldn't let the King's Guard wouldn't let the King's Guard kill him. But what I am having an issue with is how she is so blonde, she is so severely Caucasian that it makes it really difficult for me to like her. But I will go online and look for first editions of this book series because I'm wondering just how detailed it is and how far away from the storyline the teleplays are. So this is me being a punk ass because there's no way I would be rolling around risking being poisoned and risking infection for like tularemia or something else crazy in this time. I'm not that dutiful, and I guess I'm one of those disloyal mugs because there's no way I could serve a realm that would not believe in me and that would continue to underestimate me. You know what I'm saying? You know, the Uncle Targaryen is doing the most. He is acting real crazy and causing trouble and acting like a petulant bully. And it wouldn't shock me if she's going to have to go against him to basically subdue him before he rips apart the kingdom that he wants to rule. But what is he trying to rule? A graveyard? I mean, it's ridiculous. This Daemon reminds me a lot of King Henry VIII, how the brother was a greater king than he. He is ruled more by passion, even though less by smarts and wits. Okay, y'all, what's up with the surrender? It didn't look like they were losing. It looked like they had the dragon. So is this a ruse and he's gonna kill him? I don't know. This just feels like a double cross because he do got power over the dragon. He ain't giving up shit, but he fights dirty. I knew it. That old dirty Daemon. He crazy, bloodlust, I don't know. So both of the hunts and reimaginings and clarification, just rebirth of the Daenerys and her uncle's characters. They could have both died and probably should have died, but they crossed over into some of this new awareness. Very graphic, very bloody, definitely overkill. And the crab feeder torso that the uncle drags up as they win the war that they were supposed to lose just proves the power of makeup as well as CGI, because it was very graphic. But it was, in a lot of respects, it was just like how violent the birth of and the death of when Daenerys' mother died after the cesarean section, and they basically gutted that woman like an animal, and she bled out on that bed, and the kid still died anyways. All of those things were sacrifices. The disembowelment of the crab feeder. It was just a lot of imagery to basically sort through. The third episode was wasn't just wanton violence. It was a reassertion of who both of the Targaryens are. And the king all up in his feelings, wondering if he made the right decisions. And it looks like he did. He following the wrong oaths or the wrong signs, but it is obvious that the daughter is the right leader. And it still kills me that the council members are still plotting and throtting and just rotten, because they all want to secure, for selfish reasons, they just want to secure their position and their family's position. They don't care about the well-being of the kingdom. They're just in it for their own well-being, which I find appalling. But there goes ultimate power. It's actually, I guess the storyline is very simple. The imagery is more powerful. And this show is on my top list of watches. And if anybody is having a great drink, I'm actually trying this blueberry margarita. I think I made too much of it because I'm going to have to put this in the refrigerator before I go to bed. It's like 7:30, so I'm ready to go to bed, but it's all good. So that's how we're going to end this episode. And I'm going to end it with a positive word. I used to scoff at people making this statement because of its simplicity, or maybe because it sounded more like an admonishment that I was being everything but kind. But then when I started investigating it for myself, that's when I realized that I was confusing politeness with kindness. Politeness is a fake, superficial manner in which there's no required investment, no self-reflection. But being kind is an adjective. It is an action. If you're kind to yourself first, it's like exercise memory. You will continue and be kind to others. Let that sit with you for a while. I'm going to try to be kind to myself. I'll be kind to others. It's very simple, and you got to repeat it. Lean into the spirit of a new year by counting your blessings, giving to others, and spreading happiness. I know I will. And this episode or this podcast is my means to spread joy and happiness and light and enlightenment. There's so much going on with aggression and just meanness. But if I can leave you with one small positive thought, start your day with that can change everything for you and just basically change your day. Don't forget to check out Dale's Angels Inc. for the notes on this podcast, as well as other works by CQM that are, and other contributors that are in work or in being edited right now. Also, check out my Instagram feed, TNFro is Reading. You can check me out on Facebook, TNFro is Reading Book Club, as well as my YouTube channel, TNFro is Reading and Eating. And what I'm just chatting and streaming at TV Food Wine Girl on Twitter. Navigate to Writer's Block Coffee or shipabagadicks.com. Use my promo code TNFro Coffee or TNFro Got Jokes, respectively, to get a percentage off of your order. Don't forget to drop me a line at TNFroIsReading@gmail.com. All non-trolling messages may be actually read online, and you can do the same if you are in Podbean or Anchor or wherever you listen to the podcast. And again, shedding light and positivity. And I hope you guys enjoyed this episode as much as I've enjoyed creating it. Until next time, bye.